Psychedelics are nothing new in human society. From ancient inscriptions and paintings depicting people using magic mushrooms called the flesh of the gods, to the United States' psychedelic 60s, to stoned ape theory, a hypothesis stating that the consumption of magic mushrooms are responsible for the speed of human development, it is clear that psychedelics have a formidable staying power in our collective consciousness. With new research revealing both their safety and potential in the mental health care sphere, the world is on the verge of reconsidering our relationship with these mysterious compounds. In North America, a tidal wave of drug policy reforms have changed people's perspective on these contraband substances, drawing Canada and regions of the United States out of a dark age in psychedelic research that has persisted for decades. While these events inspire hope for psychedelic advocates and curious members of the public, it is clear that the fight for legalization will indeed be a struggle. And while there are a number of approaches that show promise in this effort, many are turning their attention toward precedents in recent drug scheduling cases in order to recreate their successes. To many, a legalization pipeline similar to that of marijuana, one in which the substance is first legally recognized as a medical boon and later shifted in status to include recreational legalization, is the most likely course that these substances will need in order to become accessible to therapists and the public. For many, a prominent example of this is both Canada and the United States, now containing areas in which the consumption of marijuana is legal for both medical and recreational purposes. Can these steps be followed to the letter, or must experts find new ways to appeal to local and federal governments? In truth, only time will tell, but we can most certainly make a few predictions. The following is intended to act as a 101 discussion of the psychedelic sphere during this fundamental shift in societal perspective, tackling areas from chemistry to legality to the scientists that make it possible. With this, I'd like to provide the disclaimer that I myself am very much an amateur in this field. I've done my best to encapsulate research gathered from a multitude of experts of varied opinions on this subject. In the event that you're interested in one or more aspects, I've linked a works cited and further reading list in the description below. This considered, I'm not going to delve very deep into each scientist, chemical, or law I present, with a few exceptions, but rather give enough background to establish the role each plays in our overall story of consciousness expansion and the North American psychedelic revolution. On the 17th of October, 2018, the Canadian federal government legalized the recreational use of tetrahydrocannabinol, or THC, along with cannabidiol, CBD, and all other cannabinoids that are present in the drug marijuana. 18 years prior, in early 2001, the medical use of the substance was legalized. This model of boiling the frog when it comes to legalization, or at the very least decriminalized use, has been popular around the world, revealing the power of pure societal demonstration when it comes to destigmatizing psychoactive substances. While marijuana legalization was the hot topic of the 2010s, 2022 and 2023 see the governmental department Health Canada allowing for physicians to specially request psychoactive compounds, including psilocybin, or magic mushrooms, lysergic acid dithalamide 25, or LSD, ketamine, and MDMA, or ecstasy, in the event that traditional therapeutic methods are deemed unsuccessful. Enter 49-year-old Canadian veteran Scott Atkinson, who suffers from post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD. His application for MDMA-assisted treatment on the 6th of January 2022 makes him one of the first Canadian citizens to take advantage of these legal changes. This action, assisted by the Toronto-based psychedelic therapy company Field Trip Health, was considered by its CEO to be the first filing under Canada's revised laws. To understand how we got to this point requires context drawn from a number of areas of study in the psychedelic field. For many, a newly surfacing therapeutic test drive approach to psychoactive substances in regions of North America is creating an atmosphere of safe consumption and education throughout the country. By allowing for harm reduction through guided use, both natural and synthesized substances for legal experimentation, and the development of a profitable market, the recent decision makes for a stable introductory foundation that promotes a culture of academia in both scientists and patients. This three-pronged approach solves a number of controversial issues within the many communities surrounding both support for and against wider psychedelic use within our society. Czech scientist Stanislav Grof has spent over 6 decades researching the therapeutic power of psychedelics, including mescaline, tryptamine derivatives such as DMT, psilocybin, and LSD. His conclusion thus far? Grof tells us, quote, "Psychedelics are to the study of the mind what the microscope is to biology and the telescope is to astronomy." End quote. Scientists around the world are beginning to vocalize their expert opinions on the unique experiences that psychedelics provide in the exploration of consciousness, intelligence, and mental health. This era, that some are considering the next psychedelic renaissance, one in which a significant collective of a population once again takes up anti-prohibitionist sentiment, has historically seen one major flaw. The impairment caused by any drug is no laughing matter, but psychedelics in particular have a way of jeopardizing even the smartest of users. If you've ever heard the term set and setting, this is the moment at which they become crucial. Choosing a time and place that facilitates feelings of comfort and familiarity requires a clear head and a physically secure space, and, considering the complexity of the human mind, identifying these properly can never be 100% guaranteed. There are very few compounds that require homework in the name of enjoyment, but reality-warping experiences provided by hallucinogens most definitely do. Hence, we come upon the first red flag of complete legalization, the potential for endangerment to oneself and to others. In newly implemented systems, while gray and black markets will without a doubt continue to exist, access to the same compounds and experiences that are guaranteed to be completely clean and safe in the presence of experts have a much higher potential to garner the majority of psychedelic patrons. Existing in a vacuum, this is all well and good, but considering the push for therapeutic legalization gaining enough backing to inspire this year's change, there must be a significant margin in the success that these compounds have in the mental health care sphere. With more and more data suggesting this coming to light, the success of these programs hinges on a few fundamental questions. With microdosing trends on the rise and decreases in population satisfaction and happiness after the pandemic, we are presented with quite the elephant in the room. The big question being, can psychedelic therapy outperform current market antidepressants? As of 2018, almost 1 in every 8 Americans uses antidepressants. That same year, an article published by Scientific American suggested actions taken by Canada as of late, testing the potential of serotonergic psychedelics, psilocybin, LSD, and DMT, as antidepressants. At the time, the United Kingdom had recently approved programs attempting to use DMT on a clinical level.
There's a single protocol in 2 parts. So I've been able to present the healthy volunteer part, and we assess DMT, and our particular formulation is called SPL026, I should just say. So we looked at psychedelic naive healthy volunteers. So they'd never taken any serotonergic psychedelic before.
Before we explore the success of this and similar programs, it's important that light be brought to the key differences between DMT and the other serotonergic classical psychedelics. To do that, let's first discuss ayahuasca, a South American traditional psychedelic blend that features DMT as its main ingredient. A chemical cocktail of Banisteriopsis caapi vines and Psychotria viridis shrub leaves, ayahuasca is then exposed to prolonged heat before becoming a distinct reddish-brown colored liquid. This mixture allows for an experience that highlights the DMT present in Psychotria viridis by placing a chemical inhibitor on its metabolization, allowing for DMT experiences that would traditionally last 5 to 30 minutes to last 4 to 6 hours with the help of monoamine oxidase inhibitors present in the mixture. To sum this up, while other classical psychedelics tend to make the walls move or the carpet exhibit fractal geometric patterns, as basic examples, DMT is known for casting its user into entirely unique visual mental landscapes, complete with seemingly sentient entities and unknown locations. Ayahuasca simply increases the duration of these effects significantly. Ayahuasca is often associated with spiritual practice, sometimes referred to as the liana of the soul, and, in our modern age, This spiritual practice has extended far beyond the cliques in which it was conceived. Take, for example, quarterback Aaron Rodgers, who in a recent podcast revealed that he had previously consumed both psilocybin and ayahuasca, and that both had increased his self-love. According to Rodgers, quote, "Doing ayahuasca was a big part," end quote. Similarly, wide receiver Kenny Stills told the world that he had used medical ketamine to treat his depression in 2016. He would later state in an interview, quote, "What ketamine does is it kind of takes away these extra levels of anxiety and the different processes that are happening in the brain, so that we can really be our true self," end quote. With evidence like this reaching the public in increased numbers by the day, the stage was set for the United Kingdom to give ketamine a try. With 4,561 drug poisoning-related deaths in England and Wales throughout 2020, 79.5 deaths per million people, overdoses were on the rise from 76.7 deaths per million people the previous year. Enter Psychedelics Therapeutics, a California-based biotech company founded in 2020, who, on October 27, 2021, reported success in aiding patients demonstrating treatment-resistant depression using ketamine therapy, and set a precedent for the legitimacy of this technique. Dr. Tiago Reyes Marquez, a lecturer at the King's College Institute of Psychology, psychiatrist at the prestigious Maudsley Hospital, and CEO of Psychedelics, announced, quote, "Studies have shown that up to 70% of those who receive IV ketamine treatment will eventually show a clinical response," end quote. Critics of ketamine as a form of psychoactive treatment point out that it often takes a multitude of sessions to see results, as Dr. Marquez admits in his statement. With successful demonstrations of psychoactive compounds treating therapy patients from multiple areas, the UK didn't take a look at ketamine's success and call it a day. Rather, they began research on another substance that has the potential to blaze the trail for therapeutic treatment. Here, we return to the story of a treatment program still in its infancy that might just be learning to walk. Deep within the hallowed halls of Imperial College London lies the Centre for Psychedelic Research, headed by Dr. Robin Carhart Harris. This group of researchers proclaims themselves to be the first to investigate the brain effects of LSD using brain imaging technology, and the first to academically study psilocybin. Currently, they are conducting 2 major psilocybin research projects related to antidepressant effects and a cure for anorexia. Alongside these efforts, the group works in collaboration with Small Pharma, an organization started in 2015, proclaiming on their website their, quote, "plans to carefully avoid overspending and remaining focused on the science to guide their development," end quote. With evidence suggesting a return of psychedelics to the medical sphere, I found myself lacking confidence in any success before researching for this project. As it turns out, there are a number of groups becoming involved in the legalization of psychedelic therapy, study, and practice, with more to be revealed in the following sections. Guided use has the potential to affect populations addicted to other substances, those with eating disorders, and to decrease overall depression while reducing the prevalence of black and gray markets. Furthermore, developments most recently in Canada and Colorado are introducing a number of substances, both natural and synthesized, into their grand experiment. Greetings! I hope you enjoyed the video that you just watched. The goal for this series is to have 3 to 5 entries eventually that cover the breadth of topics that are intended to be discussed. Episode 2 is going to be dropping as soon as I can edit it, just like for this one. That being said, as soon as all the episodes are released, they'll be consolidated into one longer form video. For episode 2, we're going to be discussing natural versus synthesized substances, the reasons that they're different, and the effects that studying both has on our psychedelic renaissance. Hope to see you there.